We have one question. I thought that the request for the multidisciplinary comprehensive evaluation needed to be submitted to the health plan prior to the face-to-face taking place.
So if you look back at the slides at the beginning of the presentation and the order of things, if I go back, I might lose my slides, although I probably should give it a try since we got that question. 43, some of you remember we're coming back to 43. So if you look at the workflow slide here, number 10, this is the way that the process works. The participant comes in through the door, whatever door that is. And maybe they just come directly to the CBAS center and say, I want services, or the caregiver says they want services. What happens next is the CBAS provider at that point would make a determination through some kind of a general screening process of whether or not that potential CBAS candidate is enrolled in managed care. If not, they're going to direct them to the process for enrollment, get them working with healthcare options and get them enrolled. And then from there, the process kicks off for initiating a face-to-face determination of eligibility. So the CBAS provider in this case would send whatever request format the plan has and requires. They would send it off to that plan. The plan gets a request. They schedule a face-to-face. They have time requirements on getting that face-to-face accomplished. And then once that determination is made, then they would hand either a written or a verbal authorization off to the center to begin the multidisciplinary team assessment. So the CBAS center then in box C begins the assessment, develops that IPC, makes a recommendation for the number of days per week. They send it off to the plan. Under D here, the plan adjudicates that level of service and says yes to the number of days requested or no to the number of days requested, modifies it, whatever, per their process. They notify the CBAS center, and the services begin. So that's what that workflow slide is trying to capture there. The face-to-face determination of eligibility starts the process. The IPC and the multidisciplinary team assessment come after that. So now I'm going to go back to 43 here. I think that got it.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anybody else wants to add? Okay, do we have any more questions there? Okay, so more just, again, general guidelines on level of service adjudication. These are straight out of the Medi-Cal inpatient outpatient provider manual under the community-based adult services section. So again, pretty general stuff, but considerations as you look at whether or how to adjudicate based on the level of service recommendation from that center multidisciplinary team. Overall health condition of the participant relative to their ability and willingness to attend the number of days. So, so if the individual has an overall health condition that indicates that they need 5 days a week, and the multidisciplinary team at the center has made a compelling case for that in a very specific and clear individual plan of care with that 5 days a week specified, then that's a major consideration. The frequency of services that they need, the extent to which other services currently received by the recipient meet their needs. So that's that information that Debbie went into detail about it in the community. What other services are they getting? Not that those are prohibitive, but the amount of IHSS they may be getting, the amount of waiver services if they're a waiver service individual, or case management through the MSSP program, whatever those other services are, where are their gaps? Where are they lacking care or supervision in the home or in their community, and how might those be met by the CBAS center? That's a consideration. Also a consideration listed in the Medi-Cal manual is whether there's a personal health care provider who has requested a specific number of days, a consideration. And then under number 5, when requesting the number of days per calendar month, the provider must ensure that the request is related to the participant's problems and the number of days needed to carry out the IPC. So those problem statements in the IPC should be painting a really clear picture of what it is that's going to be addressed and the frequency that those services need to be addressed at, and then the goals around those problem resolution. Some more slides just giving you some input on the level of service decision framework. So does the IPC support the days authorized? Well, what's in that IPC? Does the care plan address the participant's medical, functional, and psychosocial problems? Those things that we talked about under, that are specified under the regulation, that 54209. So the care plan should be giving a real clear picture of what those medical, functional, and psychosocial needs are. They should be manifesting in forms of problem statements that are clear, and then treatments and interventions that address those identified problems, and then the stated goals and objectives that are related to those problems and how achievable they are via the treatments and interventions that are scheduled, and how well that plan is individualized. All of these things that are in that IPC should be painting a picture of the level of need for daily services that you're making a decision on.
And this is almost kind of like when you worked in a hospital and you had to do acuity for the floor that you were taking care of. How critical are these persons' needs? Is this someone that if they don't take their blood pressure medicine, their blood pressure shoots up? Do they need monitoring maybe every day of the week? Or are they fairly stable, but they just need maybe an occasional intervention or a visit to the CDAS center for just somebody to make sure that everything is moving along, they're not deteriorating, they're maintaining their conditions? Are they fragile? Do they decompensate easily? It's something that you're going to have to just judge according to what the level of involvement the problems need, and how often, what is the CBAS Center going to do to address those problems, and how often do they feel that they need to see the person, and what is your judgment on how often the person needs to be there? And some of these patients may need 5 days a week, but they're too fragile to attend 5 days a week, or they don't want to attend 5 days a week. And that's something to take into consideration, too, on the reauthorization. That's where we see sometimes the decrease in days that we want to check and go in. There's a decrease, and we want to go in and see what's going on. Why is it decreasing? Is this person just not want to attend? Do they not need to attend anymore? What condition is there that there's a reduction? So those are all things to keep in mind when you're deciding how many days a week. There is no simple solution or quotient or some kind of math figure that you can fill in and come up with a number. It varies according to each person, and it needs to be looked at on a case-by-case basis.
And I think also within the sort of a more holistic perspective, given that the program is built on a number of disciplines, and it's not just the nursing piece alone, it's not just the social services or therapeutic piece, it's all of those things together and how they meet the individual's daily needs. So some of these slides that we threw in here towards the end of this presentation have to do with some more face-to-face considerations and lessons learned. Some of the things that over this past year, for those of you who haven't been with us on this epic journey from ADHD to CBAS, some of the things that we learned in the transition of and the conducting of thousands of face-to-face determinations. So we sort of consolidate some of these into some slides that have sort of tips and information for you. So this one just capturing obviously some of the things that are now built into the tool with Source. Some of the things that are going to come to you are going to be through observations or interviews during your actual face-to-face encounter with the individual or with the caregiver. Some of them are going to be coming via data systems and record reviews, but all of those things are incorporated into the CEDT, and that there's that part from the instructions again that the independent nature of this determination dictates that that the determination be independent of the CBAS provider's source documents. So you want to use external documents only. Again, beginning with end in mind, being a tip. So thinking about what those 5 categories for eligibility are and the associated medical necessity and eligibility criteria. They're all listed on the tool on page 8. What are they, and knowing those to start with, and then working it sort of backwards, understanding what conditions the beneficiary has and how that might fit into one of those categories, and what treatments are required, what limitations that they have that exist, what care or supervision is lacking at home, that community piece, other risks for institutionalization, and their need for core daily services. Beginning with that in mind as you do your evaluation is a helpful framework. And then some of these lessons learned, again, from our first round, making sure that every section is filled out, or as we have boxes now that indicate that somebody's within normal limits. You can check that. So the person who comes behind you to do a quality review or a second level review is clear that you didn't just forget to complete a box, that if somebody was within normal limits, you've checked that and you've moved on, but you leave a clear trail. Indicating under number 2, if you have a condition or function that has been confirmed by a physician, stating that or indicating witnessed or as evidenced by. So that's continuing with that, identifying your source. There's some good sections as you go now for explaining what it is you've encountered or clarifying things. So under each section, you can keep a